You're on Ozempic or any of these GLP-1s and the scale's frozen. You think the medication stopped working, but it hasn't. Your body just hit one of two hidden roadblocks. Fixing it actually starts with a simple 30-second change that can double absorption and help you build all the way up to reversing those blocks at the root cause. I'm Dr. Jones, DC, and I lead the coaching department for our nationwide GLP-1 clinic, and I've coached thousands of patients through this personally, and I've also struggled with my own weight loss journey, and I helped optimize it through GLP-1 protocols. See, this passion comes from spending over a decade battling with weight loss myself, and now I work with my medical practitioners helping people like you do the same. These 10 tips are ordered from easiest to hardest so that you'll get quick wins immediately, and I'm also going to provide 2 bonus deep dive sections at the end where I cover how you can just flat out fix a weight loss stall where you were losing before and now you stopped. And then the second bonus is going to be the most powerful peptide protocol that I know of for fixing your inflammation once and for all. And understand that inflammation is one of the 2 hidden roadblocks that we talked about earlier. So let's start with the absolute simplest fix, and it takes 30 seconds. Tip number 1, rotate your injection sites strategically. If you're hitting the same spot week after week, you're building up scar tissue, a medical condition known as lipohypertrophy. And research shows that tissues with this condition can significantly reduce absorption. Studies document marked impairment, and in our clinic, we see patients' medications work better immediately just from properly rotating and preventing this from happening. Rotate between 3 main areas: your abdomen, your thighs, and your upper arms. Now understand that the research shows clearly that absorption is the same, regardless of what area you inject, but individual variability does exist. And I've seen a lot of patients always talk about the abdomen doing better, but like I said, keep rotating, find the best area, but make sure even on those areas that work best that you continue to rotate. The key is not hitting the same spot for at least 4 weeks. Give that tissue time to fully heal. Here's a quick and easy way to track it. Imagine that your abdomen looks like a clock face. Inject at 12 o'clock this week, 3 o'clock next week, 6 o'clock the following week, and by the time you cycle back to 12 o'clock, a month has passed. This is a 30-second fix that ensures your medication actually reaches your bloodstream at full strength. Now, tip number 2 is very powerful, so powerful that it can actually backfire. Protein front loading. Eat about 20 to 30 grams of protein first before anything else at each meal. While this is a very powerful strategy on this list, it can screw you up if you don't understand what's going on. See, when you eat protein first, your body significantly boosts the natural production of GLP-1. Research shows 2 to 3-fold increases with protein first eating. We see this amplification effect consistently in our clinic. That means that your medication can work harder at a lower dose. This is one of the strategies that we use to keep people on lower doses long term. The protein is literally amplifying the drug's effect. At least that's what it looks like. Now here's the danger. If you're combining this powerful appetite suppression drug with front-loading protein, you might get to a point where you start under-eating. That's how powerful this is. So make sure that you talk to your medical providers about optimizing your dose, and seriously consider taking time before you ask to increase or before your doctor suggests increasing. How did you do? Try the front-loading protein first. Maybe that'll increase your appetite suppression enough and you don't need to increase. Trust me when I say this, over-suppression can create almost as many problems as not having the food chatter suppression to begin with. Anywhere from 15 to 35% of total weight loss can come from muscle. Muscle loss isn't just cosmetic, you're losing your metabolic engine. This is the other reason why this is so important. You gotta get enough protein, so front-loading helps you do that. Protein at the beginning of every meal kills 2 birds with 1 stone. That's how you get the benefits without the metabolic damage. Now that protein is locked in, let's talk about what else you're eating. Tip number 3, low-carb, high-fat, animal-based eating. If you're a slow responder, insulin resistance is the other root cause. Carbohydrates will spike insulin harder than any other food. So minimize what's triggering it is a very powerful strategy. Focus on fatty red meat, animal proteins, beef, eggs, fatty fish, butter. The fat keeps you satisfied without spiking insulin. And I know this contradicts a lot of what you've been told, decades of being told to eat low fat, but when you're healing insulin resistance, that high fat content is your friend, not your enemy. It amplifies satiety, fullness, while keeping those insulin levels low. Start strict, under 50 grams of total net carbs. Fiber is okay, but it's carbohydrates minus fiber. That means you're eating mostly healthy meat, eggs, and low carb vegetables. No grains, no sugar, minimal fruit, but I'm okay with some berries and some low glycemic fruits. One of our patients did this strict low carb for 4 months on GLP-1s, and now she's eating pasta twice a week, and she hasn't gained a pound in over a year because she fixed the underlying insulin resistance, and now when she eats carbs, she does it on a weight training day, which is one of the cool strategies that I teach patients later. Once you get the insulin resistance handled, you become more metabolically flexible. But you have to earn that flexibility, and you start with a foundation just like this. Then you can add back those carbs strategically. Now here's where most people make a critical timing mistake. By the way, if this is making you think about your own situation, we offer free discovery calls where our patient advocates can address your specific needs and create a personalized protocol. I'll leave a link in the description where if you want to explore that. But first, let me show you the daily eating window strategy. Tip number 4, compress your eating window into an 8-hour eating window. This is basically intermittent fasting, nothing extreme, or time-restricted eating, you might have heard it called, but you're creating a consistent rhythm that keeps your insulin lower for 16 hours every single day. I live this way and I've been doing it for over a decade, and I'll probably do it for the rest of my life. Most of our patients do something like this. They're eating from either noon to 8 or 10 to 6 p.m. Whatever window you choose, it's totally fine. The research is very clear on that, but make sure you finish eating at least 3 hours before bed. This allows your body to fully digest the food and keep insulin levels low while you sleep, which is going to amplify fat burning overnight. Also, there's some pretty good data showing that you'll get better sleep too as well. And here's why this matters if you're a slow responder. Every time you eat, insulin levels rise, even if you're eating perfectly. So the fewer eating occasions you have, the more time you have for insulin to spend at baseline. And that's the state where fat burning can happen and where you can heal insulin resistance. When you do eat within that window, you're eating protein first, low carbohydrate, high fat, lots of fiber. That's a powerful combination for reversing insulin resistance. I have a patient who maintains her weight loss all throughout the year with this exact approach. It's not about perfection, it's about consistency. Now here's where it gets interesting. We've covered daily eating structure, but there's a weekly strategy that takes this to a whole nother level: long flow fasting or weekly therapeutic fasting. This is the FLOA protocol, the system that I developed over years of experimentation with myself and working with patients. Essentially what we do is we get you into a strategic 48-hour, anywhere between 32 to 48 hours of a weekly fast. Every single week, you heard me right. Now, before you think that's extreme, understand what makes this different. You're not in a daily calorie deficit. On the other 5.5 days, you're eating at full maintenance. Lots of calories, lots of protein, lots of nourishment. Think fast, feast, and flourish. By the way, that's my book that you can get available on Amazon. The deficit only comes from the 2 fasting days. Why does this work better than daily restriction, in my opinion? Because your body adapts to chronic daily calorie restriction. The research shows metabolic rate reductions between 10 to 15, even 20%. But when you fast strategically like this once per week and you feast on the other days, your body never gets the signal to shut down in most cases. It's a hormetic stress optimizer, beneficial stress that your body adapts to positively. Now, if you want me to make a video where I can do a deep dive into how we help our patients specifically implement these strategic therapeutic fasting windows, which is a big deal if you have PCOS or these autoimmune cases and you tried to fast but you didn't, let me know in the comments what type of fasting you've tried and I'll develop a video specifically to that. I had a PCOS nurse that was only losing 2 to 3 pounds a month for 6 months, but we added 24-hour weekly fasting and then eventually got her to a weekly 32. She went from losing 2 pounds a month to 2 pounds a week. Same medication, same daily food, but the weekly fasting broke through her insulin resistance because we added some fat mobilizing peptides to make it possible. Those long fasting windows will drop your insulin levels as close to 0 as you possibly can, which will maximize the fat burning potential. Now, remember when I mentioned the injection timing earlier? Here's where we can connect the dots. Injection timing can make fasting easier. So you want to time your injection about 1 to 3 days before your weekly flow fast. Your GLP-1 peaks in your system anywhere between 1 to 3 days, and that's where you're going to get the most appetite suppression, and you need it during the long fast. Then by the time you break that fast and you need to eat more, that's usually where patients report an increase in their hunger. So there's strategy here that makes a lot of sense. More suppression during the fast, less suppression when you need to eat. That's strategic medication use. You're not fighting your biology, you're coordinating with it. I had a patient exercising 5 times a week, stuck at 10 milligrams of tirzepatide. By month 4, my medical providers reset him down to 5 milligrams. Half his dose, he added the 5 pillars, including this fasting protocol with strategic injection timing. Now he maintains on 2.5 milligrams every 2 weeks, saving hundreds of dollars per month, and now he's in control, not dependent upon the medication. Make sure you're injecting in the same time every single week for consistency. That means your fast is going to be consistent too as well. Morning or evening, it really doesn't matter. Some people say that their side effects are better controlled if they inject in the evening. The combination of lower doses, protein amplification, strategic timing means you're getting maximum benefit with minimal medication doses. Now I need to tell you something uncomfortable, because everything I just gave you will fail without the next piece. If you realize that these strategies stack together and you want more like this, hit that subscribe button because we put out 2 videos per week breaking down exactly how to optimize GLP-1s and reverse insulin resistance for lasting weight loss. And it also helps the channel out, so hit that subscribe button right now. Tip number 7, the thought experiment that reveals whether you'll actually succeed. Okay, do me a favor here. Let's do this right now, or at least watch this video later. Close your eyes. Imagine that it's 1 year from today. You're standing right here, right now, looking at the same number on the scale. Nothing has changed. I want you to feel that disappointment right now. Another year of avoiding photos, feeling uncomfortable, not liking the clothes that you have because you never feel good about it, declining invitations. Now, imagine the opposite. 1 year from today, you've lost the weight. You're maintaining it effortlessly. Energy's back. Your clothes fit. Your health markers improve. The constant food chatter is gone. You're living the life that you've always dreamed of, and you're managing your weight. You see the gap between those two feelings? That's your true motivation level. And here's the hard truth. If that gap doesn't create enough discomfort to change your daily habits, then you're not going to succeed. Not with Ozempic, not with anything else. Because here's what most people don't understand. These medications, they don't fix your relationship with food. They don't fix the decision fatigue. They don't fix stress eating or boredom eating or using food as a primary dopamine source. They don't magically make you show up to the gym or prep meals on Sunday. They give you a window, an opportunity. They're a catalyst for change. But what motivates change is really understanding that gap that we talked about earlier and getting honest and straight with yourself. This experiment is uncomfortable. You very well might cry, and that's a good thing. Take the time, do this experience, feel the emotions, and then get freaking serious and pumped up because this is your life and no one else is gonna motivate you more than you will. So ask yourself something honestly. Am I committed to weekly fasting? To hitting daily protein targets, to saying no at social events when there's all sorts of yummy, delicious processed food, but my cheat meals later, to meal prepping on Sundays, to tracking my food when I don't feel like it. If the answer is no, that's fine, but don't blame the medication when it doesn't work. The medication is working, but the question is whether you're working with it because you guys are a freaking team. Now let's freaking do this. Understand that it's not about willpower. That's the disease, obesity, the medication is going to handle this. It's about honest self-assessment and building systems that remove the need for willpower, which brings us to tip number 8. I got a quick question. Have you taken the time to do some sort of thought experiment like this? Or do you feel like every time you try, you struggle with knowing where to start? Let me know in the comments what issues you've had with this. And if you want me to do a deep dive video where I can show you guys an exact format to follow to help you get honest and serious with yourself, because it's uncomfortable, but as you can tell, it's the catalyst to everything else. That brings me to tip number 8, eliminating food decisions. You see, decision fatigue is real. Every time you have to decide what you're gonna eat, you're burning mental energy and you're allowing for that nasty part that wants to eat a bunch of junk food to possibly win that decision. When that energy runs out, you default to whatever's the easiest, which is usually not what supports your goals. Even though GLP-1s suppress appetite, they don't suppress decision fatigue. So you need a system that removes decisions entirely. So the system that we recommend to our patients is establishing 3 to 4 go-to meals. That's it. Breakfast is always the same. Lunch rotates between 2 or 3 options. Dinner is a couple options too as well. Might be a little bit boring, or it might be game-changing effective. And if you want more variety, then give yourself a rotation of 8 to 10. Sit down one day and come up with a menu that you can choose from, and then use that 80% of the time, and then let those spontaneous moments kick in whenever you want. I had this patient who crashed every evening around 6 p.m., exhausted from eating so little throughout the day, nauseous, and DoorDash was calling her name. But after getting with her and teaching her this strategy, she ended up stocking her freezer with grass-fed burger patties from Costco, 3 minutes per side. That's the meal. No decisions, no prep paralysis. She told me that the patties saved her progress 100%. Meal prep on Sundays, make it assembly line simple. Batch cook the protein, portion it out, done. During the week, you're not cooking, you're reheating. The goal isn't culinary excellence. Like, I get it. You can treat yourself to a cheat meal on the weekends and have some delicious restaurant food. But the friction between you and proper nutrition, when it's 6 p.m. and you're tired and you're hungry and you need zero thought options that are gonna align with your macros, this is where it comes into play. Simplify ruthlessly. Save your mental energy for the things that actually matter. Now, we're gonna shift gears here to hydration, the one thing that prevents most side effects that people blame on the medication. Okay, I wanna share with you the same strategic hydration protocol that we give to our patients. GLP-1s do something that most people don't realize. They suppress the part of your brain that actually signals thirst. At the same time they're crushing your appetite, they're also causing you to not drink as much fluid, which is a big deal. You lose more fluids through increased urination and mineral loss too as well. You see, it's the perfect setup for dehydration. And dehydration is the primary cause of nausea, constipation, fatigue, brain fog, headaches, muscle cramps, and if you notice, that parallels a lot of the side effects of the medication. See, most people think it's the drug causing these side effects, but probably 60 to 70% of the time, it's the medication leading to dehydration. So here's the protocol to prevent it. Strive to consume about half of your body weight in ounces of water every single day. So if you're 200 pounds, that's about 100 or so to 120 ounces of water. Drink 20 ounces first thing in the morning when you wake up, before coffee, before anything else. Your body is dehydrated from 8 hours of sleep, and starting the rehydration process as soon as you wake up sets the tone for the entire day. This alone will eliminate most morning sluggishness. Add electrolytes, either pink Himalayan salt, Celtic salt, Baja salt, or some sugar-free electrolytes of your choice. You want sodium, potassium, and magnesium. These minerals matter because GLP-1s deplete them faster than normal. And without proper electrolytes, you're just flushing water through your system and potentially even dehydrating yourself more. So electrolytes are an equally important piece to water for the whole hydration game. And you want to hydrate at a cellular level. So here's the timing strategy. Front load your morning and afternoon with more water, and then taper the fluids as you approach bedtime. Strive to stop drinking water about 5 hours before bed. Why? Because you won't disrupt your sleep with bathroom trips overnight, and you want your body focused on repair and deep quality sleep, including fat burning, not processing fluids. This is like a real mini intermittent dry fast. There's really good research looking at the circadian rhythm and how this sort of schedule for drinking water actually aligns better with your circadian rhythm. During your fasting days, hydration becomes even more critical because you're not getting any water or electrolytes from your food. So you need to be even more intentional. Add some Himalayan salt to your electrolyte product, sugar-free electrolyte, Ultima is my favorite, and sip on that throughout the day. I had a mother who lost 35 pounds but was vomiting after every meal. She lost 15 pounds in freaking 3 to 4 weeks. Massive dehydration and muscle loss. We immediately implemented an aggressive hydration protocol with electrolytes, and within a week, the vomiting stopped completely. No medication change, just hydration. See, most people attribute their side effects to the medication and either push through miserable or quit entirely. But fix the hydration first, and suddenly the medication becomes tolerable. Carry a water bottle with you everywhere. Leave one at work, leave one wherever you spend the most amount of time. Set alarms on your phones if you have to. Trust me, you won't need the alarm forever, and it's annoying. You will build a habit just to get the alarm off. This isn't optional here. It's the difference between thriving on GLP-1s and suffering through them. Now, tip number 10, it's about fiber, but I'm gonna tell you something that you had no idea. Both increasing and decreasing fiber can change everything. 25 to 35 grams of fiber per day is the ideal scenario here for most people. Creates a synergistic appetite suppression that works with your GLP-1s. You're stacking two satiety mechanisms, the medication and the physical bulk of the fiber in your gut. See, fiber was gonna slow down the sugar absorption, the glucose, which keeps insulin levels more stable. Now, there are two types of fiber. There's soluble fiber and there's insoluble fiber. And you wanna have a good amount of both. Vegetables got you covered. Eat fiber before your meals for even extra appetite suppression. Insoluble fiber, you'll get a ton of this from vegetables and greens. That bulk will help prevent constipation. Eat a lot of vegetables and meats with every single meal. Increase gradually if you're not doing much fiber, because if you jump from 10 to 35 overnight, you might get bloated and you might feel like crap. Adding 5 grams every couple days and increasing your water is the right way to go. Now, here's the controversial part that might cause you to drop the phone here. Everything I just said about fiber is true, but I'm going to show you in the bonus section how a zero fiber carnivore diet can be the solution to some of you slow responders. Both approaches work, and understand that fiber works for most people, but carnivore works for specific inflammatory cases. The key is understanding which tool to use and when. Okay, that's the 10 tips. Now let's address the plateau issue that I mentioned in the beginning. By the way, if you're dealing with severe side effects or complete plateaus and you don't know what's blocking you, you don't have to figure this out alone. Book a discovery call with our medical team to get personalized guidance. I'll leave a link in the description. Now let me show you the difference between metabolic shutdown and inflammation blocks. I see this metabolic shutdown pattern in about 30% of our patients who come to us after trying GLP-1s without guidance. Here's exactly what's happening. You're on GLP-1s, your appetite is killed, and you're eating about 800 to 1200 calories a day. Weight's coming off fast initially, you feel like you're finally winning. Then suddenly it stops completely, dead stop. And now you're freezing cold, you're tired, you're exhausted, you're brain fog. I call this zombie mode, and it sucks. But you're so focused on the weight loss and the fact that you're not losing weight that you forget that you feel like crap. And a lot of times you're losing hair too as well. That's metabolic shutdown. Your body thinks that it's starving, so it's slowing everything down to conserve energy. Your thyroid, and we can literally see this on lab, is also low. Your body temperature drops. Non-essential functions like hair growth get shut down. I had a 60-year-old grandmother who lost 30 pounds and then hit a 3-month stall because she was barely eating about 1,100 calories. Your body needs roughly anywhere between 1,700 up to 3,000 calories, depending on you as an individual and your activity level. She was freezing indoors, wearing a sweater and wrapped up in a blanket, cloudy thinking, zero energy to play with her grandkids. So here's what we did: a strategic metabolic reset. On the first week, we increased our calories to 1,300, week number 2, 1,500, then 1,700, then 1,900, gradually week by week, listening to her body, confirming from her that she was feeling better, her energy was coming back, and most importantly, she wasn't gaining weight during the reset. She actually lost 2 pounds during that reset phase. Why? Because her metabolism started working again. Then once we added the strategic fasting after the reset, she started losing weight 2 pounds per week consistently. This is why the FLOA protocol works so well. You're not in a daily deficit grinding your metabolism down. You fast strategically, like we talked about earlier, once per week, but you feast on the other days. Your metabolism never gets that starvation signal. If you're plateaued right now and showing these metabolic symptoms, cold, tired, brain fog, hair loss, you need to eat more, not less. And I know that sounds backwards, but your body needs to trust that food is coming before it'll start losing fat again. And increasing calories gradually over 3 to 6 weeks, focusing on protein to preserve muscle. Don't go keto yet, because you actually want some carbohydrates for your metabolism to fix. Okay, bonus number 2, if you're dealing with severe inflammation, the second major slow responder cause, then this bonus section is critical. If you've tried everything and the weight still won't move, inflammation is likely blocking you. Chronic inflammation makes your cells insulin resistant, despite doing everything you can to lower insulin. It doesn't matter how perfect your diet is, if your inflammation is high, your body's response will be weak, if not at all. Here's how we can test it. On labs, CRP is a gold standard inflammation marker. It should be under 3. ESR, another inflammation test, should be on the low side of the reference range. And if yours are elevated, you need to address inflammation before anything else will work. I had a marketing executive patient, gym 5 days a week, perfect macros, slow escalation on the medication, but he only lost 15 pounds in several months. She needed to lose 110. See it? We ran her labs. CRP was 8.2, ESR was sky high 35, very high thyroid antibodies. This was a Hashimoto's case, and we see these all the time. So we implemented the full anti-inflammation protocol that I'm about to go over, and within 8 weeks, inflammation markers dropped, energy returned, and weight loss resumed. So let's get into that protocol. Number 1, low-dose naltrexone. Low-dose naltrexone modulates the immune system and reduces systemic inflammation. It's not a weight loss drug directly, but it reduces inflammation that's preventing weight loss, and it calms down the immune system, which is why symptoms of autoimmune cases will also dramatically improve. I had a business owner with chronic inflammation who couldn't lose weight for years. We added LDN, no dietary changes, and they dropped 15 pounds within 10 weeks. The inflammation was literally blocking fat mobilization. Typical doses of LDN can be anywhere between 1.5 to 4.5 milligrams at bedtime, but you need to be working with a provider who has training in LDN because it is prescribed off-label for inflammation. Second peptide, BPC-157, this is a healing peptide that reduces gut inflammation and repairs tissues. It lowers systemic inflammatory markers. If you have gut issues, bloating, irregular bowel movements, food sensitivities, BPC-157 addresses the root cause. Most patients use anywhere between 250 to 500 micrograms daily, but for our use cases here in the anti-inflammation, you want it orally as a pill. Now the final peptide, the powerhouse here, KPV. This is another anti-inflammatory peptide, particularly powerful for autoimmune cases. It downregulates the inflammatory pathways at a cellular level. If you have autoimmune markers like the thyroid antibodies we talked about earlier, rheumatoid arthritis, all sorts of different issues in the autoimmune category, this can be a game changer. Same thing, dosing can be about 500 micrograms. In our clinic, we actually prescribe a single pill that has 500 micrograms of both. Now finally, nutritional strategy, the most powerful anti-inflammatory diet is the carnivore diet. 0 fiber, 0 plants, just animal products. And I know that contradicts many tips that you've heard about earlier, including the fiber one, but for specific inflammatory cases, the carnivore works when nothing else does. So I had a patient with severe rheumatoid arthritis for 5 years, multiple medications, constant suffering. We put him on a strict carnivore diet, beef, eggs, butter, salt, water. 3 weeks later, pain-free for the first time in 5 years, completely pain-free. Why does this work? Based on the data that we have so far and multiple clinical observations in our clinic, it appears that plants contain defense chemicals, lectins, oxalates, phthalates that can trigger inflammation in sensitive individuals. But when you remove all the plant matter, you remove all potential inflammatory triggers. It's basically like an elimination protocol. Start with beef, salt, and water for 30 days. Then add eggs and dairy if tolerated. But the first 30 days are critical. You need to be strict. This isn't forever. This is a reset. Once inflammation is controlled, we work with our patients to strategically reintroduce foods. So this protocol, LDN, BPC 157, KPV, and the carnivore diet, this is our most powerful anti-inflammatory protocol where GLP-1s alone aren't enough to be able to trigger the inflammation drop that's needed to sustain weight loss and speed up results. Now, you're going to want to work with your healthcare provider on this protocol, especially when it comes to peptides, but understanding these tools changes the game for slow responders. If you want professional support implementing these strategies, working with our medical providers, me personally, then you're gonna wanna book a discovery call. I'll leave a link in the description. This is an opportunity to speak with my experts, we call them patient advocates, where they're gonna have a conversation with you about your history, your struggles, and give you an idea of what it looks like working with me, my team, my coaches. They'll go over the finances with you and let you know exactly what it would take and what it would look like long-term. Remember, my goal for you is long-term lasting weight loss. I wanna help you achieve medication independence, which means microdosing your GLP-1s to maintain your weight loss in a sustainable life where you can eat carbohydrates. That's my promise, that's my commitment. And if you guys enjoyed this video, check out this video right here. This is a shopping journey where I went to Costco and broke down the base items that I think everybody should be eating, and Costco is a great place to get a great deal. We'll see you guys later.